This is Perspective with Blake Edward, and this is the one and only self-proclaimed introverted podcast. And at this point, I would like to take the time to remind you that this world needs more perspective. This world needs your perspective. And if you would like to build your own platform, then I would like to invite you to go ahead and do so. And this is also a friendly reminder that this is currently the greatest time ever to be alive. And even though this is, in fact, the greatest time to be alive ever of all time, if you ever felt like you've been marginalized, I want you to know that you are not alone. In fact, I recently got word that this happened to one of the greats, our very own, the most famous comedian of this generation, Kevin Hart. And with no further ado, let's get into it.
I put a lot of time and energy into what others thought that I felt were decision makers. It was a guy named Lucian. He was known for discovering Eddie Murphy and various huge names out of New York City when it came to comedy. And if this guy said you were funny, then you were funny. If this guy said that you had it, you had it. And I worked so hard to get to this guy. And I got to him. Oh my God, I'm here. It's about to happen. I performed for him, and he told me to my face that I should really think about finding another profession. He told me to my face that he didn't feel that comedy was for me. And I'm sitting in the chair, I'm in his office, and I'm waiting for the joke. I'm waiting for the punchline, and there wasn't one. And he said, I don't think that you'll be performing in my comedy club. Thank you for auditioning. I hope things work out for you. And that was it. It was a blow to my pride, to my choice of career. And it took a friend of mine named Keith Robinson when I walked out. He said, what did he say? I told him, and Keith was like, look. He said, what do you care? He said, all right, we'll go somewhere else to perform. And he shoulder shrugged it. But he shoulder shrugged it as if that information wasn't heavy. And I had put so much pride and wear and tear on myself to get that information. And then when I got it, it wasn't what I expected it to be. And that could have been a damaging moment, but those are the moments I choose to let go of. Even today, there is no ill will towards Lucian or towards what he said to me. There was a lesson that I got from that. And that lesson was, nobody knows what you're capable of more than you. Everybody will always have an opinion, but your action is based on your will and want. So as long as you have the get up and go to just do and never stop, then you'll be fine. When you allow others to dictate your movements, then you'll always be effective. And that's what I don't do. I don't allow that to happen.
Okay, so there you have it. This was a big name, a gatekeeper, somebody who pretty much said yay or nay to most people's careers. If this guy didn't say that you were it or you had it, you pretty much weren't going to make it. There's probably a lot of people he told no that quit right after he told them no, because he had gained that reputation of, sort of the gatekeeper as far as comedians. And that's just so special. The guy who is supposed to make your career go smoothly and supposed to make your career happen says no. And then you got to start from scratch. And you still got to ask yourself, do I still want to do this? Is it still worth it? If you have the wrong perspective, you will quit in that moment. I mean, how would you keep going? This was the guy. This was the moment. How do you keep going? It's incredible. And what he said is very powerful. Nobody knows what you're capable of more than you. Nobody. How would they know? And let's take a real step back on this. How would they actually know what you are capable of? Are we under the impression that people have the full picture of us? I mean, really, I had this talk with my parents, my mother, my sister, my dad. I don't know who any of those people are. I don't know them. For me to think that I know them, wouldn't that be to marginalize them? My parents have a whole nother life before me. Like, I realistically don't know that much about them. Like, they had a whole 20 some odd years before me that I don't even know about. I have no idea. It was impossible for me to witness it. These are life experiences that I'll never, ever know that they experience. And I have a list of life experiences, events, lessons, tragedies, triumphs. I'm very vulnerable with my parents, but like, there's still things that I'm sure they didn't know about. And even when I try to tell them, even when I try to explain, do you think that they actually fully comprehend? Can they actually fully comprehend where I'm coming from? I'm a part of a whole nother generation. I've had a list of experiences that they'll never know. They realistically have no idea where I'm coming from. So, I mean, really ask yourself, does anybody know you? And do you really actually know anybody else? And when you answer that question, or not answer that question, I think the choice is clear to never, ever judge anybody else. And never, ever, ever, ever judge yourself. I mean, why would you? We know you've probably done it, but why would you? Did you expect to bat 1,000? Did you expect to be on a yacht, retired by now? I mean, what do you want? A lot of people have to sit back and ask themselves these questions. And I think rap music, I love rap music. I would never stop listening to rap music. But it alters our perspective. It sells us this dream lifestyle that we're supposed to have by 30. And if we get it after 30, like everybody does, that is too late. And we were supposed to be balling out and, doing all the wild shit in our 20s. Like, we were supposed to have it all figured out by 30, for sure. I was supposed to have a Lambo, 12 girlfriends, and a yacht by now, a private jet. And I'm supposed to be carrying money bags around everywhere I go. I mean, that's pretty much what they sold us on. And no, I know you're thinking like, Blake, that's ridiculous. Like, you couldn't have possibly thought you'd have that. And you're right. I did understand that was ridiculous, and I didn't think that I would have that. But when you see that somebody has that, whether it's a fake image or not, you think you should at least have half of that. Like, I'm at least half as good as that guy. You know what I mean? Like, you legitimately talk yourself into some crazy shit. Like, you're like, man, I'm at least supposed to have, $500,000 right now. Sorry, ladies, I do not have $500,000. If you guys are looking for a sugar daddy, you looking for that guy. That ain't me. Not yet. I was supposed to have $500,000. It's ridiculous. And what's even more crazy and what's more so it doesn't have me worried because I know we're humans. We're the most adaptable creatures of all time, ever. I know we'll figure it out. But there's a lot of people, myself included, hitting 30 and acting like life is over. Is it? I mean, if you think so, by all means, like, I don't know, maybe you should quit. I don't know. You tell me, maybe you should quit. I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. I know that I want to see everybody keep going. I want to see everybody putting more of themselves out into the world. I think we have this terrible misconception that a bad expression of oneself is worse than no expression at all. And I know, as somebody who is really particular about his words, really wants to be very precise in how I say things, how I articulate myself, I always want to make sure that I nail it. And I'm always going to give my all, but now I'm so okay with my mistakes. I mean, why aren't we okay with our mistakes? You know, like, before you criticize yourself, if you're going to criticize yourself of anything, why wouldn't you criticize yourself on your ability to handle you making mistakes? And I'm not encouraging anybody to do the same wrong thing over and over again. Obviously, if you took that from that, then I don't know. What I'm saying is we need to question where we even got that. Why are we okay with mistakes? Mistakes are great. The word mistake, I don't even want to use the word mistake anymore. It just sounds gross. It weirds me out. It freaks me out. I'm not going to use that word anymore. That is out of my vocabulary. Learn the lesson and keep going. What's the better alternative? What other choices do we have? I mean, really. And I think it all starts, doesn't it all start in school? I mean, really, doesn't it not all start in school? Before you take a test in school. And first of all, before I go in on school, I have a lot of love for all the teachers. I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of the teachers. I mean, y'all take care of my little nephews. Y'all take care of my nieces. And y'all going to continue to provide experiences for these kids but it starts in school. And this is what I mean by that. Is it healthy? And I'm not going to, I have no idea. I haven't studied this at all. Is it healthy that we're taught to take tests and we're taught that you're pretty much a loser if you can't come back and get 90% of the answers right, 90% of the information right? Are they teaching us, by teaching us to study for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then finally there's this big test that we have to get a 90% on, or we have to know 90% of the information, or we're not good enough? Doesn't that hinder movement in the first place? And I'm just asking. We're so worried about being perfect for that final test that's weeks away. Why not? And again, I'm just asking. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just have thoughts. So why not implement something where we have 3 tests? We have a pre-test. What do you know right here, right now? Just spitballing stuff, winging it. Then you have an intermediate test where you have about, 50%, 30 to 50% of the information, which is what you have to go off of in real life. I have no idea what I'm doing. And nobody has any idea what the fuck they're doing the first time they do something. Nobody has a clue. I mean, they know, they have a framework, but they don't really know You don't know until you've done something. And I know we are all spooked and terrified of the doctor his first day on the job, but that's life, so deal with it. Well, let's have an intermediate test, maybe. Or does it make sense for us to have an intermediate test? For like, when we've studied a little bit, we've gotten like the Cliff Notes version of what we're supposed to retain. And then we got the real test. Yes, I know that is more work, and we'd probably learn fewer subjects, and we'd probably learn fewer things, but we'd solidify better habits. I mean, wouldn't we? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe if we tried something like this, we'd submit better habits. I mean, wouldn't we be teaching people to act sooner rather than later? And maybe we'd learn about fewer things. But I'd argue, I mean, do people need to know about every single thing? Or do they need to know how to get really, really good at one thing? I mean, which is more valuable? Did we really retain anything we learned in elementary and middle school anyway? In most of high school? I mean, did we really retain most of those things? So again, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I know that I believe that we should reevaluate learning structures, learning principles, the behavior. Let's monitor. I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me, is it more important for us to monitor children's IQ or children's behavior? I mean, really, how important is IQ if we don't have emotional intelligence and we don't know how to cope with anything, and we are super duper smart, but we wait until we have a foolproof plan in our head, or we have 90% of that, until we act? Important questions. All right, so I want to get into the sports gospel segment of today's show. And today, that features none other than LaMelo Ball. We are currently about a week away from the NBA draft, and he is by far my favorite prospect on the board. It's not close to me, just as far as pure upside. And what I hope is, because I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this kid. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on LaMelo Ball. And I think a lot of it stems from things that are not relevant to today. People marginalizing him. So I want to take a stab at maybe, and I totally could be wrong about this. Like I said, we're going to find out. We're a week away from the draft, and I'm totally fine with being wrong about this. I will laugh about it later. But I don't think I'm wrong about this at all. Like, I'm very sure about LaMelo Ball. Very sure. And I want to be on the record about it. Because the other day, I posted on Facebook, I really hope the Phoenix Suns trade up and get LaMelo Ball. And to no surprise of mine, I was laughed at. People tried to clown me, throw dirt on my name, as if I don't talk basketball for a living. I don't play that shit. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't play that shit. Period. So this is why I think that you might be marginalizing LaMelo Ball, and this is what I see from LaMelo Ball personally. When I see LaMelo Ball, or when most people see LaMelo Ball, I think that they see his father, his loudmouth father, and then they see and remember that video of him in high school, you know, with dad on the sidelines, and just a whole political nightmare. Because we know his dad is not afraid to speak up, and he probably has it in with the coach and probably makes sure that LaMelo can do whatever he wants. Who knows? And I gotta be honest, when I first saw that video of him not playing any defense at all and cherry picking for a full game, not half the game, not a fourth of the game, the full game, not playing defense at all, purely playing for stats. He had, I don't even remember, I want to say he had like 100 points or something stupid. But I was disgusted, and I know that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I totally get that, because that was a bad moment. As a matter of fact, let's have a moment of silence for that moment. That shit was terrible. Man, that was bad. Okay, so if you can get past that, and you can take a step back, get a real objective look at this kid, what do you see? Because what I see, and this is gonna sound absurd, I don't really care, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk and say what I feel. I see the future of NBA point guards in LaMelo Ball. The future. I think that LeBron James winning this title this year and playing point guard while doing it just revolutionized, or re-revolutionized, if you want to take it back to Magic Johnson, the point guard position. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm not halfway in about this at all. The kid is 6'8", and if you didn't know what I meant by that, I mean that this kid is 6'8". So I think that's what the future of point guards is going to look like. I think 6'6" is going to be a small point guard in about 10, maybe 15 years, give or take. This is a copycat league. We just saw LeBron playing point guard for the best team. I never believed in small ball. Never believed in it. Nevertheless, I see a 6'8" point guard who allows you to play 6'8" and up at every other position, which is a beautiful, beautiful advantage. If you have everybody who is 6'8" and up on your team, point guard to center, and they can move well, needless to say, your team's going to cover a lot of ground, and they're going to be everywhere on defense. Nightmares to guard on offense. You're going to be very overbearing to the opposing team. And that's why I love it. I want to see the Suns go 6'8" and up. Now, I totally understand that Book is 6'6". D-Book is 6'6". So, I mean, obviously, I don't have a problem with D-Book being 6'6" or being on the roster. I don't have a problem with that. If he chooses to leave and we can get to be 6'8" and up, have a 6'8" and up lineup, and we have LaMelo Ball and DeAndre Ayton and another big time wing, I'll be totally fine with that too. But we're not gonna jump that far ahead, because I like D-Book. D-Book he needs to stay in Phoenix. Most underrated scorer in the NBA. D-Book is a bucket. That said, 6'8" and up is the goal. This kid is 6'8", Steve Nash, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. He's not a great shooter yet, but he's not afraid to shoot it. And that's all I really need to see. He's 19 years old. I like his form. He will rise from deep. So that's another new element to this game, is like he'll be able to pull the defense out. Him and Book in the backcourt will be, if he hits that jump shot consistently, it'll be hell to deal with. He's a point guard, likes to get out and go. He's 6'8" and has a decent amount of bounce. So if a rebound comes off, I think he's going to be a surprisingly good rebounder. I've seen him on putbacks just go and, put somebody in the rim. So I know he can do that. Has a great feel for the game. There will be a lot of what the fuck moments, because he just, quite frankly, he likes to take a lot of risks. In football, we would consider him a gunslinger. He likes to take a lot of risks. He's a big risk, big reward type of player. And that's another reason why a lot of people don't like him. But I love it. So long as you got the weapons around him, he's going to make them guys great. And if he doesn't do anything else, he's a big ticket name, and he's not some overrated big ticket, because Lonzo is just a basketball player. This guy's a showman. If he comes to Phoenix, you say what you want about him, you will be at every game, because just to see what this guy does, he's electric. You just want to see what he does. I have no idea what he's going to do, but I'm excited. I will be watching whatever team he's on. period. And if you're offended by the Steve Nash comment, because I know that's going to turn a lot of people, I'm mad I even said that, because that just gives people a reason to hate him. Like, that just gives people a reason not to like him. If you're offended by the Steve Nash comment, he is he's the 6'8" version of Trae Young. I'm not the one who made that comparison up. He's already gotten that comparison, which is another reason why the Hawks won't draft him. I believe they're at number 6. They're probably not going to draft him. The Timberwolves have D'Angelo Russell at number 1. The Warriors obviously have Steph Curry. I forget who else is there, but I will look it up. But while I'm looking it up, the kid is just, he's electric. He was raised with the mindset of like, I'm going to be an NBA player. And I've seen him, to other people, it looks like weird and like flaky almost, like he's not loyal to any one place. But literally, I really just think that he wasn't going anywhere that wasn't going to lead to him going to the NBA. He wasn't going to be there. Any circumstance that wasn't going to lead to him being a lottery pick in the NBA, you couldn't find him there. He wasn't going to be there. So I'm looking at the draft order now. T-Wolves at number 1, Golden State at number 2, Charlotte Hornets at number 3, the Bulls at number 4, Cleveland Cavaliers at number 5, the Hawks at number 6, Pistons at number 7, Knicks at number 8, Wizards at number 9, and then our beloved Phoenix Suns at number 10. And if you guys want me to get blasphemous, I'll get real blasphemous. Here it goes. This is going to correct, if we did it, this would correct the Luka Doncic pick for me. And I'd be happy that we waited. Because I think DeAndre Ayton is a good player. I like DeAndre Ayton. He's got a lot of work to do. I haven't seen him play since like the beginning of like his rookie year. So I don't know what he looks like now, to be honest. I haven't seen him play since the beginning of his rookie year. When I saw him play at the beginning of his rookie year, I thought that he looked lost on defense a lot. But what I also thought is that he's a rebound machine. He's going to average 10 rebounds a game easily. I love his mid game. Can shoot the 3 decently. So like a 3-level scorer, I just think he needs to work on his handle a little bit and be able to make plays. Not a lot of them, but just be able to make plays some of the time. And I think long term, we could end up with the better end of that deal. Like that being the right move. He's 7'1". So potential is unlimited. 7'1" and can move like he's 6'8". So I love it. But to me, this could right the pick in respect to us getting a big point guard like Luka is, somebody who is box office like Luka is, who's going to put on a show on a nightly basis, who's electric, who has the passing instincts like Luka, and then we're pairing him with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and I think that's a 3 that can take us places like deep in the playoffs in the future and possibly make a close playoff push this year. I know the West is stacked. But yeah, I'll get to the playoffs in a second because I do want to look at what teams we could possibly beat out. But for now, looking at the Charlotte Hornets at number 3, I don't think that they want to go guard. They love James Wiseman. So if the Warriors don't take James Wiseman, they'll probably go with James. The Chicago Bulls. Bulls are tricky because they went guard for a couple years in a row. I can actually see them going after a wing player. I don't know. I have no idea what the Bulls are going to do. I honestly don't know a lot of the prospects in this draft. All I really know about this draft is LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and James Wiseman. I don't know. And Obi Toppin, just because I'm from Ohio. Obi Toppin, if I said that right. Those are the only players I really know about. That's the only players I've really seen play. The rest of these guys I really don't know. And I don't know where Chicago, Cleveland is pick guard heavy recently, so they probably wouldn't. The Hawks have Trae Young, so they probably wouldn't pick him. Pistons? Pistons I could see doing it, and the Knicks. I don't know. The more I look at it, the more I think I'm getting my hopes up, because unless people are super low on LaMelo Ball as a prospect just because of his dad and they don't really know how to grade him because he was playing overseas. Unless that, I mean, if that becomes a factor and he falls to number 10, I would be, oh my God, I would be ecstatic. I would love that as a number 10 pick. That's a really good number 10 pick. And I don't know that they would trade up for him. But if you ask me, I think that they should. I don't think they have anything to lose. And I think that it would correct what they missed in Luka. Now, am I saying that he's going to be Luka Doncic? No. Nobody comes out and averages, you know. We haven't seen somebody come out and put up numbers like Luka Doncic in quite some time. So that's not what I'm saying. It's not the point of what I'm saying. All I'm saying is he's going to bring us a reason to go to the games. He's going to give us a nice building block and a 6'8" point guard. How rare. I haven't seen that in a while. I haven't seen that really. I mean, Luka's close. Luka plays point a lot. He brings the ball up a lot. Other than that, like, I don't know. And I think that's where the game is going. I think it's a power play. If we can make that happen, it's a power play because we're adjusting with the league. I don't want to see Ricky Rubio out there anymore. Like, I'm fine with Ricky Rubio. He got us to being relevant again. But he's not going to take us to the promised land. If Ricky Rubio's your point guard, you can be a decent playoff team. I want to get to the finals. And I do think with that kind of upside of those three, I just think that there's a ton of potential there. Ton of potential. And I personally would be very excited about Phoenix Suns basketball if that happened. So looking at the Western Conference, do we have a shot in hell in making the playoffs next year? I'm going to list the teams that for sure are going to make it, without a shadow of a doubt. Lakers will make it. The Clippers will make it. The Nuggets will make it. I'll assume that the Rockets will make it. We don't know what's going to happen with Chris Paul, so we'll hold off on the Thunder. We're at 4 teams right now. The Mavericks will make it. And the Jazz are always decent, so I'll say that they'll make it. That's 6 teams. I'll say Portland, but Portland was 35 and 39 this year, so we don't know. So we'll keep Portland in there just to say 7 teams. So we got Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Rockets, Jazz, Mavericks, and Trailblazers. And then everybody else is fighting for the 8th spot. So scratch that. Because the Blazers were 35 and 39 last year. I know they had a lot of injuries. I forgot about one team. And you probably guessed it. I totally forgot about the Warriors down here at 15 and 50 last year. Yikes. Warriors are making the playoffs next year. I think that's pretty safe to say. So those 8 teams are likely to make the playoffs, you know, barring injuries. And I think the Suns could potentially be right there. We're at 10 this year. I think we could be at 9, knocking on the door at 8 next year. We got to. It's been too long. It's been too long. And my hope is that D-Book also sees what I see. There's been talks from other players, not even coming from him. I won't even put this on him. I heard Draymond say this. I've heard several other players say this. Get D-Book. Campaigning for D-Book to get out of Phoenix. And quite frankly, I don't blame him. I hate the moves that the Phoenix Suns make most of the time. D-Book is the only move that and DeAndre Ayton. I'll say DeAndre Ayton. I was totally on board with that when they picked him. I thought that was the right choice. So those are really the only 2 moves that I have agreed with within the past decade. I don't know. I'm not going to go that far. Those only 2 moves that I can remember in recent history that I've been on board with the organization. Like, we haven't been on point. So hopefully D-Book will go to the front office and campaign for a point guard and a point guard named LaMelo Ball. And even if we don't start him this year, I don't know. Like, what if they want to start Rubio and then have LaMelo learn under Rubio? I'm fine with that. Like, he's 19 years old. I'd like to see him just go out there and start, but I'm fine with Rubio handing off the reins, so to speak. I just want to see some new blood out there. And say what you want about LaMelo Ball. He brings excitement. And I don't know this, but I think anybody on the Suns with our run and gun style, like we love that style of play out here. We love it. I think they would love to get back to that 15 seconds or less offense. The up and down, run and gun, shootout offense. And yeah, you're probably thinking, well, it's not all about offense. You got to play defense too. And LaMelo Ball is not a great defender. But he's 6'8", so he has the ability at late in the game to be in the right place at the right time. He has the ability at 6'8" to be a headache in the passing lanes just from size and length alone, to just bother people. Listen, if you don't play defense and you are built like Isaiah Thomas and you 5'9", if that, then I have a huge problem. Like, you can't guard anybody. LaMelo Ball can, even if he's not a great on-ball defender, he can be at the right place at the right time. He can get blocks because he's 6'8". He can get steals because he's 6'8". And he can be somebody who, if he's on the court, you have to think about and think carefully where you pass the ball, because he's going to be everywhere. So what do you guys think? I think that if we're a top 10, we're technically, you know, we got a top 10 pick this year. I say we trade up to get in the lottery and get a game changer. Get a game changer. A franchise changer, in my opinion. Just on pure upside alone, I think it's what's going to get this city excited about basketball again. You say what you want about LaMelo Ball, but he will make us excited about basketball again. If we have Ricky Rubio as our starting point guard next year, I will not be excited about the Phoenix Suns. Don't ask me about them. That's basically a plan to be mediocre, in my opinion. I always want to see him go with the upside. That's it. Go with the upside. We've got nothing to lose. Or what I'm also hearing, and what I'm also getting word of, the more likely scenario is we don't go with the upside and we go for right now, and we go out and we trade for Chris Paul, which I don't hate that idea, but I don't love it. And I don't love it for the following reasons. A, people want to talk about LaMelo Ball potentially being a quote-unquote locker room problem, which I have no idea where that's coming from, considering he's 19 years old and hasn't been in a locker room yet. I mean, maybe his dad will potentially bring some unwanted attention, but at this point, any attention on the Phoenix Suns is a good thing in my opinion. I mean, seriously. The bubble is the only time we've been talked about, and somehow we're convinced that the bubble is the sign of the future and things to come. We had a losing record last year. That's all I know. That's all I care about. We're still much in the business of losing. So if LaMelo Ball is being considered a locker room problem, then CP3 is damn sure being considered a locker room problem after his NBA history, his career. And I love CP3. I love the way he plays the game, but it's a very nearsighted move. He's not going to be a championship piece. So why do it? So the Suns can be relevant again and be a 6 or 7 seed? I don't care about that. Who gives a fuck about that? Not me. I want to see us be great. I don't want to see us be good. I'm tired of mediocrity. So let's go for the upside. Let's trade up. Because if we have enough cachet to get somebody like Chris Paul, why not trade up? And let's have 3 young studs going forward. Maybe pick up a veteran in free agency. And let's roll. Chris Paul is 6 feet tall. So when it really comes down to the nitty gritty of it, and we're playing against a team like the Mavericks, like the Lakers, who have 6'8", 6'9" point guards in LeBron James and Luka Doncic, or at least that's who brings the ball up the court. I don't know where they're technically listed, but they're the point guard in my eyes. Not that LaMelo can guard those guys, but he can at least get in their way. Like when you have size, you can just be in the way and bother people. That's all I need you to accomplish on the defensive end. If you've ever seen NBA players play one-on-one, you'll notice that nobody can really stop anybody. Therefore, the goal shouldn't be to stop people, it should be to slow them down. And I think he has the size and the instincts to do so. Now, will Chris Paul make us competitive? Could I potentially see us getting Chris Paul and being a middle of the pack team, like a 4 or 5 seed, sure. But do I see us in any time frame going to the finals? Hell no. And Chris Paul's contract is crazy. So not only would bringing him on the squad not get us a championship, it could potentially set us back a few years because we'd be so invested in an older, very, very good veteran point guard. I don't know. I'm not going to hate on that move. Like I said, if it happens, it happens, and I will support it just because I like Chris Paul. He will make us relevant in a team that I'd probably enjoy watching. But is he going to put us over the top? Hell no. So my thought process is we shouldn't do it. So basically, in conclusion, I think we should go out, roll the dice, which we probably won't. This is probably not going to happen. But this is what I think we should do. We should go out, trade up, because I don't believe the Timberwolves are that high on LaMelo Ball. A lot of NBA GMs are not that high on LaMelo Ball, probably for a lot of reasons that some of the Suns fans aren't that high on LaMelo Ball. But a lot of NBA scouts, a lot of people have seen his highlights. Go look up LaMelo Ball's highlights, and you will see that this kid has great positional size, which allows any team really to extend its size on the perimeter and all the way from the perimeter to the interior. 6'8" and up, beautiful thing. Not the most consistent shooter, questionable shot selection. But I don't really care about shot selection because I just cared, do you have the confidence to shoot the shot? Everything else can be learned and everything else can be reeled in. He's 19 years old. He might even still be growing. He might still get taller. If he gets taller, then I'm really sold on LaMelo Ball. If he ends up 6'9", 6'10", this kid's 19. Has great basketball instincts, similar to like a Ben Simmons. Not afraid to rise from deep. Though he's not that consistent shooting it, but he has that same trigger of like a Trae Young, which I love because an NBA scout's going to see that, or not an NBA scout, an NBA trainer's going to see that. They're going to work with him, and he's going to get better. He's trained his whole life for this. He's not halfway in. He's not going to get to the NBA and stagnate. I don't worry about that with him. He has great basketball instincts. People are going to love to play with this guy. The Suns will be more excited about this season if LaMelo Ball comes in. That could potentially enhance all of our offensive weapons and speed up the process of DeAndre Ayton being a better offensive player, even though he's already pretty good. And last, but certainly not least, this kid is box office. You want to talk about he's a locker room problem, that's cool, but if you're coming at it from the standpoint of he's going to bring attention to the Suns, even if it's unwanted or a bit over the top and unnecessary, who cares? Nobody cares about the Suns right now. Nobody cares about the Suns. Only people that care about the Suns right now are people at your local bar in Phoenix. Like, nobody cares about the Suns right now. The rest of the country is so asleep on the Suns. And if you guys love D-Book like you say you do, he'd get a lot more recognition. He'd get a lot more easy buckets with somebody like LaMelo Ball. And this kid's going to, we're not packing anything out right now because of COVID. But once that goes away, your eyes will be on the Phoenix Suns. If we simply roll the dice, do something a little bit unconventional for once in this organization, and go get somebody who's a potential game changer. Even if you don't agree that he's a game changer, you must admit that he is a potential game changer, and a big one. So let's take the risk. Let's not be scared to make a mistake and settle for mediocrity of Ricky Rubio. I don't want to watch another season of Ricky Rubio. I'm going to be honest. He's a solid point guard. He's just fine. He's just all right. But I don't get excited to see Ricky Rubio in that starting lineup. And if you do, well then fine. Let's keep Ricky Rubio as a starter, or let's keep some veteran point guard as a starter, and let's bring LaMelo Ball in off the bench He's 19 years old, so we have that option still. He doesn't have to come in and be a day one starter. I'd like to see that, but he doesn't have to. And let's give something risky, something that could pay off and pay dividends long term, a chance. That's all. And that's all for today's show. I appreciate y'all giving me a listen. We will be doing this every month, and I will be talking more hoops because I talk basketball for a living. And make sure that you always bring your perspective because it is your greatest asset. That's it. I love y'all. Peace. We are out of here.